to the Torq Hub PODCAST. Find us on all your favourite podcast platforms or watch us on YouTube.
Welcome back to the Torq Hub PODCAST. Episode 5. We're at, aren't we, Jeff?
Number 5, yep.
That's it. I'm Kurt. This is my best mate, Jeff. And we're here to shoot the shit. How you been, man?
I've been good. Actually, I haven't seen you since Motovation. We basically more or less parked up, unloaded our stuff. It was like, see ya.
Yeah, that is right. I never thought about that. Yeah, you're right.
We were pretty much with each other every day on the lead up.
Yeah,
so,
for what, a month, 5 weeks, something like that? Probably longer.
Like that. Yeah.
Yeah, no. Oh, it was good to see you again, bro.
It was definitely a busy time. We'll touch on Motovation a little bit later.
Yeah,
A little bit later.
Yep.
We'll get rid of some housekeeping-y type of stuff.
That's right, yeah. So what do you want to start off with? I think...
Big news.
As you can see, if you're watching this on YouTube, you'll see just in front of you there, we got a turbocharger and some trusty HPR 30.
HPR
Don't
30.
ever be caught with a 5-litre and not some of that.
Mate, if
You're
you
gonna
jump
need
on any 5-litre group, they're going to tell you that HPR 30 is what you need. And we've been using it for on the best part of 15 years. Penrite have graciously offered us a spot as brand ambassadors for 2023, which is...
That's a win, isn't it? Well, we've been using their stuff forever and a day anyway, so...
That's right, yeah. So making it official, they've brought us on. It's part of the team and one of our first sponsors. We've actually got another one which we'll touch on a little bit later on as well. Geez, we got so much to touch on later on.
I know, it's a big episode coming up, I think.
But yeah, that was the big news that sort of came through on the emails.
Yeah, I remember I caught the email first because obviously we've both got access to all the Torq Hub stuff, and I sent you a screenshot thinking you'd already seen it, and I was just quizzing, and you were like, "What the fuck?" Like,
Yeah.
it's pretty cool.
I was spun out.
Yeah, no, it's cool. So
Yeah.
it's always good. Like, we will only get behind stuff. Well, you know, we're only going to promote stuff that we actually really do get behind. Like,
Yeah.
we got the other one the other day, bit of a change in direction, and I won't go too deep on it, but did you see I think we got an email the other day from that same place
Yes.
over east that
Yeah.
does the cheap manufacturing. They're trying to jump on board again, and it's...
Yeah. We've had, we've had various sponsorship opportunities, we'll call them, since we've started. We've got obviously our first supporters, Lost Racing Products,
Yeah.
Legends. We actually purchased some more speed flow through them this week.
Yeah, they're so good to deal with, eh?
They are, yeah.
Yeah.
And they're really good to us, and we'll support them to the day we die.
Because they didn't have to, you know, like this was early days. Even now, we're still tiny.
Yeah.
And, you know, but it's still good, you know. They get behind us, and it helps. Like, every little bit helps at our level for sure.
That's right,
So,
yeah. So they're on board. Obviously, Penrite's jumped on, which, like you say, we've been using their gear since the dawn of time, and proudly Australian-owned oil companies.
Yep.
So we wouldn't use anything but an Australian company. And as you're saying, we got an email from a parts manufacturer, won't name them,
Yeah, no.
but it's fair to say they think their rods go max speed.
Yeah. I can't confirm or deny that, but I'd assume so.
Yeah, that's just not for us. We're not, like I said before, we are absolutely for sale, but
Yeah.
not just to anything. Not something that we don't believe in.
Yeah, no, we're not doing this to get every little skerrick of anything out of anyone, you know what I mean? Like, we need to really... if we're pushing it, we think it's cool.
Yeah. So big thanks to Penrite for getting on board. You'll be seeing, more of their products through our videos. Obviously, we sort of err away from product placement type of content, but if we're using it, we'll be making a point of using it.
Yeah, that's it. And like, now that some of you guys if you want to support us, it's not just the merch or whatever, like you can think, oh, well, shit, instead of using this brand, I'll use Penrite because they get behind my boys. So that's sort of how my brain works. Support those that support you, so.
That's right. And, we support the Australian products because, well, we've got 2 sons, each. We got 4 sons between
Yeah.
us, and they need industry to go to. They need job opportunities and stuff in the future.
Absolutely.
So we need to support the guys on our home shores.
For sure. Well said. Well said.
Thank you, sir. So, just adjusting my headphones here. No, we're good. We're good. That's probably the first bit of big news. Like I say, we do have some more stuff to touch on soon, but I guess we'll just kick on with this week's hot topic. What do you reckon?
Yeah, go on. Let's do it.
This week's hot topic.
That's hot.
That is hot. There we go. Hot topic. I think it's needless to say, motivation. We've had enough time to cool down.
Yeah.
Our sunburn is peeled. Our tan is looking fire. What do you reckon?
There
mate?
is no escape. There is not a bit of shade to be seen in the middle of the day.
Unless you
There's
bought it.
just no escaping it. Dude. We bought it, but it was inadequate.
So we did bring shade, but the shade doesn't help you when I think on Saturday you were parked at the front corner of your passenger guard for nearly 5 hours straight.
And that's not even an exaggeration. I think at least 5 hours.
It was amazing.
And I honestly, I pretty much loved every minute. It didn't feel like 5 hours,
No.
at all. I was a little bit, I don't know, I wasn't taken back, but I don't know, I was kind of surprised, really.
Yeah.
Because there was, I'm that guy that forgets your name as soon as you tell me, so I'm not even going to try and remember all the names.
No.
But like,
Hey, if you told us what car you got, we can probably describe that.
yeah. So, but there was probably not quite a handful, but nearly a handful of guys that told me that they came to Motovation just to come and see the car and to see us, which I thought was pretty cool.
Yeah. That is
I was
cool.
I was a bit puzzled by it, but yeah, it was really cool to hear and just to catch up and talk to all you guys it was awesome. It was sort of my first experience and probably yours too, really. I mean, you get out a bit more than me, but it was my first experience at getting to meet some of you guys and having that awkward bit at the start where you're walking along and someone's locked eyes with you and you're like, but you're like, oh, what's going on? Have I got something on my face, or do these people know me from the channel? It's all still pretty new. So it was, but it was cool. It was cool as it was nothing odd at all. It was really good.
It was a weird contrast from Red Centre Nationals. When we went up there, it was kind of, we could still walk around there, film, whatever, and we were like invisible. No one knew who
there was
we were
a couple of punters.
That's right. There was a couple of people that did come and see us, like when we were at the track or whatever, and have a bit of a yarn, and maybe one or two that saw us at the caravan park. But for the most part, we were kind of just like doing our thing. But at Motovation, you guys, obviously, I think being that we are based here in the West, I guess it's like our home crowd.
Yeah.
And you can see in the analytics and stuff, I won't go too technical on it, but you can see that we definitely do have a strong base within our viewership.
Yeah,
that's here.
Locality's got to be some sort of draw card. Like perhaps you probably wouldn't even really watch if it was over east, but because we're sort of in your backyard, like we'll just see what these Muppets
All
are
right,
up
we
to.
feel sorry for these blokes.
Yeah.
We'll look up.
Yeah, you never know. You got
But
to
no.
keep an eye on them. So
It was so sick to, be at our camp and have you guys coming. You could see them coming from the other side of the paddock wearing a Torq Hub shirt, and you go, "Oh yeah, here we go." Here's our boy.
It was a surreal feeling for me, especially just because, like I've told everyone a million times, my car's been off the road for so long. So even though it's not fully finished, just the feeling of just like backing a car that's complete, and it's not just a half finished shitbox, it's a full finished or a fully complete shitbox anyway, or at least 97%.
Yeah.
And just backing it off the trailer and just being able to move it around and just seeing people look, it was a really good feeling. It was awesome.
And it was very well received. I think we were probably both surprised. I mean, obviously we love the car because we've got our blood, sweat and tears in it, but to have so many other people come up and, really show appreciation for the car, for what it is, even as it is now.
Yeah.
That was awesome.
Yeah, no,
We handed out heaps of stickers and, like a couple of stubby holders. A few guys bought some shirts as well, which was wicked. It was just,
It was awesome.
Yeah.
Yeah, and that was basically the highlight of the weekend. I didn't really get to do much else. We did the Super Cruise thing, like kind of first thing, and got back at like, what was it, like 11-ish, something like that, from when we were in the ute. And then basically I spent the rest of the day doing that. And then, and then the family came for a bit. And we went and watched a few burnouts, and then it was sort of kicking off into the night. So it went pretty quick.
And kicking off into the night we did.
Yeah.
The after party is probably better than the event itself. Being able to wander around and talk to some people and check out some cars and whatever. But, Super Cruise was wicked. Old girl sitting behind us, she did us proud. Not that we really gave it too much of a hard time.
I'm kind of regret not putting some stockies on it now, but anyway.
Yeah. I feel like
I talked you out of it because I think you were going to, and then I was like, oh.
Do we have to?
Is it really worth, like I was like, is that juice really worth the squeeze for what we both know it is? Plus, you got to drive the thing home. It's like,
that was kind of why I wanted to change the wheels, because I did have to drive it home.
Yeah.
Like an hour and a half. Or and it would have done it easier. It would have got more wheel speed having the stockies on versus having those freshly walled 19s, might I add. Shout out to ProShine, who got me in last minute. I got them walled at like 8 a.m. on the Friday morning, and then I went from there directly to scrutineering. But yeah, probably should have put the stockies on. It probably would have put on a little bit better show. It would have done it easier than with the
It was
19s.
funny though when we got back. Like, so we pull up back to camp, and we both get out, and I'm like, fuck, man, like we should like put this fucking thing on E85 and put an intercooler and a camshaft. Like, that was okay. Like, we could do a lot better with what we've got. Like,
I was surprised how well it went. Like I said it in the video as well. It reminded me just how much fun that car is, because I don't drive it as often as I'd probably like to.
Yeah.
And then there was that one time we pulled out into the coming from the staging lane, pulled out onto the track, and I did a bit of a burnout going through the start line. And it sort of spun. I got off it a little bit and then punched in. It just gripped up and went.
Yeah, I think that was one of the first ones you did. And we both looked at each other and were like, what the fuck was that? Like, it felt strong, which is not what that normally feels like.
No,
Like,
it like literally put you back in the seat and you went, holy.
Yeah.
What was that all about?
Yeah. But then the heat soak hit in, and then you're like, there we go. You get to the snake pit and it's like unhappy. You're just trying to drop second. It's like, oh, fucking hell.
Yeah, just grab out the rasher of bacon, slap it on the blower. There you go. She'll cook up.
Yeah. No, she's a good old girl, that's for sure.
Yeah. Yeah, no, it's...
Needless to say, I thought I was pretty cool when I was driving around that when I was 18 years old, that's for sure.
Yep, and now we still think we're cool in our mid-30s cruising.
Exactly.
But no, it was wicked, man. Motivation was awesome. I think another highlight was just catching up with some people that we did see at Red Centre Nats. So a couple of the Summer Nats crew who sort of, they follow the circus around or whatever. Just seeing those people and seeing viewers' cars, because there were some people that were entered there, and some of them have got way cooler cars.
Oh, I was going to say,
us.
not that it's hard, but yeah, they got way sicker cars than
and
what
it's like,
we
why
have.
are you watching us for?
Yeah. No, it was cool to make some new friends and see some old ones.
Yeah.
And just see all the different cars. What was your thoughts on the car selection as like a whole, like as a variety? Because I hadn't been in a lot of years. I couldn't tell you the last time I went to Motovation. I honestly couldn't.
So I'm in two minds. I think for the most part, the car selection was good. There was a lot of, high quality builds for sure there. But as a sellout event, they obviously sold out and capped the entries. And some cars that were there, and I won't sort of peg anyone in particular, but I feel like there would have been other cars on the wait list which were probably more deserving. Now, I understand that you can't pull the rug out from under them last minute, and I'm going to touch on this again in a future segment, because this is literally a scenario that's happening today for a different event. You can't pull the rug out from under someone last minute. So there has to be, I feel like there has to be a selection process, but at the same time, how long do you wait? You've got to give people time so that they can book holidays and buy tyres and, get machining done or whatever,
Yeah.
whatever needs to be done.
It's got to be a balancing act between, obviously they want to sell as many tickets as they can. And if people want to go, they obviously they'll pay their money and they'll go straight away.
Yeah.
But
there were definitely, some of the big banger cars that were there, they showed up and they showed out. They were good. And, they're the ones that bring the crowd.
yeah. I'm just going to say it though, there were a lot of shit boxes there as well. Like, more than what I would have expected. When I first was in Motovation, I took that ute. I would have been 18 odd years old, 18 or 19.
Yeah.
Motovation 22 it was, 15 years ago. And it was crazy back then. Like, it was way more entrance, wouldn't you say? Like, that whole top paddock was full. That's where we were.
All the way
It
around
almost
the
felt like
speedway.
there probably would have been twice as many cars, and like none of them would have been anywhere near as bad as some of the worst. Like, these are just skid cars, so that's just what they are. I'm not, they're not trying to be anything other than just they want to go somewhere and they just want to blow sets. But it made me think, is it just the car scene as a total that's sort of going more that way, where you just sort of have more fun, spending less, just like, is it getting more burnout orientated and just doing that sort of thing as opposed to building like clean streeters, or maybe even say like a semi-showish type car? Like, maybe the scene's changing and we don't have to be okay with that.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like, I'm not saying that there should have been more nicer cars, or I'm not saying anything like that at all, because I'm just one person, but as a whole, that's maybe where the scene's sort of more going.
Well, I think as Australia now has embraced burnouts as a motorsport, like it's
We
gone,
started it as a motorsport, really.
So it's like it's gone away from just being, a couple of cars that you got out of the wreckers and you twitched a couple of wires together and we're on here, weld the diff and have some fun. Now
although there is still plenty of that as well.
Yeah. And
And good, yeah.
That's probably the most fun. Because
Absolutely.
I reckon some of these guys that have spent upwards of $100,000, $150,000, $200,000 on these cars, are they even having fun anymore? Like, they are purpose-built competition cars. But I think to circle back to my previous point, I think now that we've embraced burnouts as a motorsport, that particular event, or I guess Summernats is known for its burnouts, particularly the Canberra one, So now that Summernats are running over here, the Burnout Masters series is a thing. So that's probably where that sort of plays into it. So, yeah, people don't want to put a show car on the pad. I know I wouldn't.
I don't want to put any cars on the pad personally, but anyway.
So that's, if what's going to put bums on seats is the burnouts.
Yeah.
And those are the guys that are going to be doing the burnouts, then those are the cars that are going to be there.
Yeah.
Skid Row was such a big part.
Skid Row was awesome.
Yeah. I think Skid Row was awesome. I'd like to see a bit of a layout change where the line for Skid Row is blocking everyone from doing pit cruising. That's probably my main gripe with it. And,
these are all teething issues as well. They've moved, like, the layout never changed from when I first started going, and then I went years after that. The layout was always the same. The Elite Pavilion was up near the staging lanes and blah, blah, blah. It was always the same. They've switched a lot of this stuff up now.
Yeah.
And obviously there's teething issues. Even with the camping, they got switched up last minute. These are all things that are going to take a little while to come good. But as long as we're moving in the right direction, which I think we are, but there's definitely still room for improvement there for sure.
Well, obviously you don't want to put the Elite Pavilion on the Bitchman where it used to be, because that's where Skid Row is. And you probably don't want Skid Row right next to the Elite tank, because then they're just going to get, even though it's in a marquee, they are not airtight.
No.
You're going to get heaps of dirt.
The preference is to not have Skid Row near anything, really. That's what I think would be the go.
which is why it is where it is, and the layout is how it is. And most of the guys in the line were good. They'd leave the end of the avenues pretty well open. So if you were pit cruising, you could cruise past, get to the staging lane and do your circle, But just the sheer amount of traffic, I wanted to hit Skid Row in the ute. I wanted to do it. I said that from the start. I kind of wanted you or someone to be on the side and film me belting the piss out of it down Skid Row. The one time that I went down there with the intention, I was just like, took one look at the line and went, no thanks.
Yeah.
Like, that's a 2-hour wait to get in, and I'm just like, nah. It was better off for me going back to camp and editing the video and getting that out on YouTube, you know. So I think there needs to be some layout changes. Another thing that I'd like to see is another Super Cruise on the Sunday, because there was literally
Sunday was a dead day.
There was no cruising whatsoever.
Nothing.
Unless you wanted to go on Skid Row or you were in the Burnout finals, there was nothing for you.
Honestly, I went to bed. I went to bed at like 5:30 that morning. I stayed up entirely way too late. Me and Michael, we just G'd each other up a little bit and regretted it. But anyway, that's another story. But yeah, by the time I dragged my sorry ass out of bed, it was done. Like all your general stuff, half the people seemed like they were gone, honestly.
Well, like I said, because there was nothing on the program for them, a lot of people did pack up early in the morning and get out of there before it got too hot.
Yeah.
Because it was, I mean, the weather guys said it was 38 odd degrees at Perth Motorplex, but when you're at the track around, that's more like 43, 44, you know, like or more.
Yeah.
So why not pack up and get out of there early?
Yeah, there's definitely needed to be some more stuff for just your general punter that wasn't doing burnouts or whatever. I would have liked to have seen another little, race session at the start, like, you know, a little 8th mile or something, you know, something like that, just a quick session in the morning when it's still pretty cool.
Yeah.
You know.
Obviously, another gripe that I had was no people in the back of utes whatsoever. Not in the smooth cruise, not in the pit cruising, not anywhere.
Yeah.
When we got the text message, if you follow us on Instagram or Facebook, you would have saw it in our stories. We got the text message from the event management.
That was pretty cool, actually. We're getting text all weekend.
Day. Yeah, letting you know, like, hey, if you're entered for this, go to the staging lane now. You know, this is opening now, blah, blah, blah. They do.
It was ran well. Like, everything that was supposed to be happening was happening. It was good.
Yeah, and they kept you well informed. But when I got the message to say, under no circumstances, anyone in the back of utes or wagons, that broke my heart. That's something that we need to bring that back.
Yeah, but it'd be out of their control.
I'm sure it is.
Oh, 100%. It'd be like everything these days. You got to cater to the lowest common denominator. So, you know, I think that poor fella fell out of a ute that wasn't even barely moving at Summon. That's the year I went, and he passed away. So,
that's right.
I mean, that's where it comes from. You don't want to run the risk. So, that's where it comes from. I wish we could too, because I remember how much fun everyone had when we were in that, just rowing gears as hard as I could going down the drag strip. It seems kind of sketchy though, especially because back 15 years ago, there was high horsepower stuff, but not like now. Like every Tom, Dick and Harry's got, you know, 800 horsepower to the tyres. So if they've got their missus and their girlfriends and their mates in the back, and they're just like spinning fourth gear down the drag strip, it's probably not going to turn out too well.
Nah. And I'm certainly not against them banning it for the Super Cruise in particular, but the smooth cruise where you are speed limited and there's no burnouts, and, you know, or pit cruising, that's another one, very low speed.
Yeah.
You know, like, why not?
Yeah.
Why not? But anyway, that was my little gripe. It's probably something that I could
Yeah, it's
say
just because we know how fun it is. So
yeah.
So anyway,
kind of sentimental.
Yeah, but anyway, we got to live through that era. So
we are the lucky ones.
Yeah.
But thanks again to all you legends who came and saw us at Motovation. There's a little feature video that'll be coming out, not by us.
That's right. I forgot about that.
We were filmed by Performance Garage. They did a small feature on us that will be coming to your eyeballs at some point. When it does come out, we'll share it for sure.
Yeah.
But they did a short feature with us at Motovation on the Friday before things got too hot.
It was basically we rolled up, wasn't we? Rolled up, got set up, and Jack rolled up, and
that was deliberate.
Hit us with it straight away. So I don't know. I hope I don't look like as big a dickhead as I felt when I was doing it. But anyway, we will see.
How's that different from any other video?
Exactly. At least with our video about Jeff, don't make me look like a dickhead.
And then
too much, and then you fail every time. Eh?
Then I make you look like a bigger one.
Yeah. So no, it was good.
Yeah. In other motorsport news, Drag Challenge. Now, obviously, Drag Challenge was happening during Motovation, so I didn't get to keep close tabs on it.
No, I didn't look at anything.
I did see some of the Street Machine coverage when I got home. Harry Haig,
Yeah.
shout out to Hall Ass Garage, taking home the chocolates.
Yeah.
That HQ,
That's his thing, though. Let's be honest. He eats, sleeps, and breathes that shit. So,
Dragon Drive.
Yeah.
He
So,
loves it.
congratulations, guys. It was killer.
Yeah, the Steve-O Army will be pumped on that. Saw he cleaned up a kangaroo on day one.
Yeah.
You know, finished up at day one on the drive session and cleaned up a roo. Unlucky.
It'd take a pretty big obstacle to slow that team down, though. Like, they just froth that shit.
Oh, yeah. Gaffer tape, bit of bubble gum,
Yeah.
cable tie. He's going to make it happen, eh?
Yeah.
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 What a weapon.
Yeah, I don't know how he even gets around with the size of the balls he must have to drive that HQ the way he does, because it's pretty wild.
Yeah, it's definitely got to be a parasitic loss on that
Yeah.
combo.
Yeah, so, yeah, that's sick. Very
And,
cool.
you know, he was going against some heavy hitters like that. Daniel Zabolik's HQ, that thing is next level.
Yeah.
Had some valve train issues throughout the week from what I saw. And, yeah, no bueno.
Yeah.
But good to see him out there. You know, obviously, Zabolik's much easier team. They work hard. They know racing.
Yeah.
And, you know, they got it towards the end there. But, man, so good to see old Pop.
Yeah. Pop 666.
Yeah. Belting the tyres
Yeah.
at the end of it too. What a weapon.
Yeah.
The Hackshop Garage guys, they went. Didn't do so good, the poor dudes. They thrashed hard to get that Falcon there. Turbo 6. Put a new BTR in it. They made it to scrutineering. And they did that. And then the next day when they went to start day one, they had a box full of neutrals.
Oh, really?
Yeah, yeah.
Is
And
the BTR, that must be like the 4L60 of the Ford world, is it? Nearly?
Must be.
Yeah.
Must be. But I think it was a converter seal popped out and it literally dumped all the fluid out of the box. All of it. And then when they towed it home, even though towing it home there on day one, that's it. They're a DNF. They can't do anything. But they said, oh, well, if we can go home, we can fix it. If we can just replace the seal and whatever, we'll meet them at Portland and we'll still do the week, you know. Hats off to them for that. But when they pulled it all apart, the bearing race was scored. Like it was we can't fix this today.
Yeah.
And what they did instead was they jumped in Michael's HQ. It's got I can't remember if that one's got a 253 or 308. I think it was a 308. 5-speed manual, and they sort of did the cruise in that. And
Yeah.
they're releasing their content on all that now.
Yeah, okay.
So, yeah, it'd be good to see their coverage. Saw in their day one video, there was one legend with a Torq Hub hoodie on.
What a G.
Yep. Torq Hub merch on Drag Challenge while we were at Motorvation.
That's pretty cool.
Getting around it. And I think I also got sent a photo of a dude at the pub at the end of day one of Drag Challenge wearing a Torq Hub shirt.
Yeah, okay.
So that's cool. Torqhub.com.au if you want to get your own.
That's
Just
it.
quietly.
Get some swag, mate. Just do it. Yeah, we did. I didn't really even look too much at my phone that whole weekend. We had
didn't have
messages and all sorts. I probably still haven't replied back to people, so sorry.
Yeah, sorry. We had a bit on.
Yeah, a lot on.
The XY, that got a fair bit of attention. There was some
I
people...
never even got to witness the attention. I was thinking, man, my car's... Anyone else want to speak to any other people? Nah.
Nah.
But obviously, yeah, behind my back as I was looking
Yeah.
towards my car, there was a few Blue Oval guys coming to check it out.
And there were some people that have only just gotten around the channel on the lead up to Motivation, or they came on Saturday to see us after seeing our video for the first time on the Friday video. You know, they saw that.
Oh,
And
yeah.
There was one dude in particular that said, "Oh, yeah, I've just found your channel like literally last night, and I wanted to come and have a look." And so he was looking at your car. Obviously, that's the one that's sort of been featured heavily recently.
Yeah.
And Mix XY was there. He said, "Oh, do you guys know who owns this?" I'm like, "Yeah, well, we built that." And he's like, "Really?" And there was other people that have sort of come across the channel recently that didn't know that we built it. So
Well, we bolted all the shit in between the rails and underneath anyway. That's
that's right. Yeah, yeah.
That's for sure. We made it cooler.
Yeah,
Little
made it
bit
way
cooler.
better.
Yeah.
So I did a thing on Instagram yesterday. It was like a way back, you know, so throwing it back and going through some of the other builds that we've done for some people that didn't know
Yeah.
or weren't aware yet.
Yeah.
you can go back through and check them out.
Yeah, that's what reminded me about Liam's ute again. I had a few people ask actually. I met the fella that originally owned that Warby bought it off.
Really?
He come and said g'day. Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah. So he come and asked, and I said no, we haven't really done much else with it.
We have acquired a 9-inch for it.
9-inch diff and a awesome fuel pump, and probably a few other little bits and pieces. But yeah, hopefully Liam can put his boot back into it soon. Maybe.
Well, he's listening.
Yeah,
Liam will be listening.
Come on, Liam, let's do something.
This is a subtle nudge.
Yeah.
This is your call out.
We got to finish the other 7 project he started after starting that one, though.
Yeah. He gets distracted easily.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, he's got a lot of mouths to feed, eh? A lot of automotive mouths.
Yeah, that's right. But no, that'll be a sick car when it's going again.
Yeah, for sure.
Anyway, I guess we shall move on a little bit to...
You know what really grinds my gears? Running on the chip.
On the Chip, powered by Reed Speed.
Oh, yes.
Second sponsor. We'd love to welcome Reed Speed to the Torq Hub family.
Yeah, I'm very, very excited about that. He's reached out to us and, yeah, just told us to keep doing what we're doing, basically, and he just wants to get behind us. He knows that we're always, speaking the good word of all the good products that he makes for our humble 5-litre. So
that's right. It's once again already a customer, already spending money with the dude, and
telling everyone else too as well.
And he wants to get on board and support us back, which is amazing.
Yeah,
so
that's really, really cool. So we definitely appreciate that.
If you guys need an accessory drive that's going to keep the belt on when you are on the chip, get in touch with Reed.
If you're sick of that Gilmore belt,
oh, gross.
If you're sick of chewing out alternators and spitting Chinese bloody tooth belts all the time, go to reedspeed.com. And is it .au? I should really check. Just Google it, mate. Google it, Reed Speed. Check it out. He's got all the cool shit. It's wicked. I've got it on my car.
Yeah.
Mates have bought it for their Whipple supercharged cars. He does top level stuff, and it won't root you around, and
it's made right here in Australia,
and it looks like delicious in the engine bay as well. So stop buying that Chinese shit that doesn't work, that makes dumbass noises, and get yourself a 6-rib drive from Reed Speed.
That's right, and that's a great little segue for On the Chip, because Gilmore.
Hey, Ma.
You can tell the ones that really, they're all about that Gilmer life when they don't even know how to spell it.
Yeah.
They're the ones, because you get everyone going, oh, where's the best place to get a Gilmer drive? I'm like, man, just check the bin. That's where they should be.
Yeah.
Because, like you say, they make the whistly noise. It's that old school sort of throwback, which originally was from straight cut timing gears, not really from that tooth belt drive. Yeah. But they're like, it sounds like a blower. Yeah, do you know what else sounds like a blower? An actual blower. Yeah. Do that.
I've never understood why you'd want to sound tough and then be stock 5-litre slow.
I don't know. I mean, I do that. I sound tough and blown, but I don't go anywhere.
But you are still blown at least. That's something.
That is something. Yeah. Blow job better than no job.
Yeah.
But oh man, some of the ick sort of parts. What other ones have you got that really get your goat?
What have I got? Did I have something saved for that? I'm really... no, that's for a different segment, that one.
Oh, or it's for the same segment, but it's a different...
I don't know, man. There's heaps. I don't want to go too hard on anyone. We don't want to upset too many people.
Well, yeah, I guess. We're soon going to find our audience.
Yeah, there's all sorts of trash stuff that you can put on your car, really, isn't there?
Yeah.
But in saying that, though, when you're just getting into it, I'm glad I didn't have a whole heap of money when I was first getting into cars, because I'm going to reveal a little bit of my past. Do you remember back when those guys were putting like VXR8 body kits on VRVSs and stuff like that?
Yeah.
Dude, I thought that was cool, and like the flip trunk things and
I like the flip trunk.
I don't hate that.
I saw that
as much.
actually the other day. Someone posted it. They had a VX and it was on bags, and they had the flip boot lid. And when I saw that, man, that took me.
I don't hate it.
I was like, That's cool.
Yeah.
And everyone's going, it looks stupid,
Well,
rah, rah, you know.
It's only when the boots popped anyway.
Exactly. But man, I used to like it.
I'd rather that than like, let's say a sheet metal drag wing on a stock 04 VYSS. You know what I mean? Like that's, I'd choose that over the drag wing.
Yeah. Yeah, I like the drag wing on a drag car.
Yeah, that's why
But
I said
yeah.
the 04 SS that's cammed, and that's
Yeah.
it.
Yeah.
I don't hate the look, but it's kind of like, I don't know. Your car needs to have a bit of a theme, I think.
Yeah.
That's where you need to be. You kind of want to try and pick a theme and stick with it.
So have you seen like it's usually in the JDM sort of tuner scene, but the chassis mounted spoilers?
Ah, yeah.
And then I saw a video.
The ones
this
that
week.
sort of come out the back of the bumper, you
Yes,
mean?
yeah. So they're literally like
the ones that actually work?
Yeah. So I saw a video of one dude the other day. He was in, like a Walmart parking lot or whatever, and a dude was sitting on the boot. You know how people do like the photos where they're sitting there eating their noodles on it? So he's sitting there like that, and this dude's driving the car. He's getting ready to do a donut. He's got halfway around, and the spoiler's just gone none eyes.
Yeah.
Fallen off, and old mate has face planted the car park. I was like,
Oh, they've just learned a hard lesson on centrifugal force by the sounds of things, eh?
well, good to see that chassis mounted spoiler could put up with no downforce.
Yeah. Oh, funny. It's funny how we all make different rules on what you should or shouldn't do to cars and what you can and can't and what's cool and what isn't.
Yeah.
I was thinking about that yesterday, I think it was, like, and I don't really want to get into it because it's first of all, on a platform like this, it's the easy button because everyone talks about it, but like what's a street car and what isn't. It's the fucking dumbest argument. In my opinion, it's the dumbest argument because it's usually like some sort of class racing where it needs to be a street car. Otherwise,
Yes.
you're just in the internet records in this country. Like people are just making up their own records to suit their own vehicles.
Yeah.
That's what it is. When basically, if you can get away with driving it and it fits a rule that's in some sort of racing class, that's all you need to worry about. Don't stop trying to make a micro record that only your car fits into.
Yeah.
I mean, don't stop, but I think it's dumb anyway. Like,
Yeah.
everyone wants their own little micro record.
Yeah. It's got to be, stock suspension, stock brakes, stock K-frame, this, that, with factory white door handles,
Yeah, you can't really go back to if it's got to be legal, because in this country,
Nothing's legal.
Nothing's legal at all. So
Yep, I'm with
it's
you.
it's a dumb argument in my opinion. Anyway,
If it's registered, if you can pump fuel from the Bowser, and if you can drive it, and it's got to be a reasonable distance. It's got to be like 50 kilometres or 100 kilometres. If you can drive that distance unassisted, then it's a street car.
yeah, I don't think there's anyone claiming that their car's a street car if it wouldn't even do 50 Ks. I wouldn't have thought.
Well, I don't know.
don't
There
know.
probably is.
But just going into specifics makes no sense to me, really.
No.
Because every state and every country has a different rule set. So just because you live in a different part of the world and your cars could be identical,
Yeah.
the achievement that both those cars can make is equally as impressive or lackluster.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? It doesn't really matter where you are. So I don't know.
I think the Skid Factory boys cop that one fairly regularly as well. Like when they did the Crown, everyone's like, oh, we need to know about the engineering process on this. And they're like, well, we consulted an engineer before we did it. Like we weren't going to touch a spanner to this car until we did. And that car is engineered, whether it's engineered in the current trim that it's in now with the power that it makes now. Like there's people here in WA, we've got a law for engineering here where it can make no more than 180 kilowatts per tonne. That's power to weight ratio limit. And that's basically, say, this ute, for instance. You go and you'd find on...
No danger.
No, not at the moment, no. But you'd go on Red Book and you'd find the heaviest one they did. Or say it was like a VS sedan even. You'd go to a Calais or something and you'd get your weight based on that.
Yeah.
Not necessarily the weight that yours is now as it sits, because I don't think they weigh it per se. But you go, it's a VS, and that's the heaviest one that they did. So do that, get the dyno slip, put a Gemini converter behind the engine, and put a 4-pound spring in it.
You've just got to. It's basically just you got to tick the boxes. They know what happens.
And once the engineer walks out of the room, You just turn it up.
Yeah.
But it's engineered.
Yeah.
You know, you just
As long as
play
it's
the game.
as long as it's safe and not offensive, I think you should just be able to do it. I don't think anyone needs to be meddling too much in what we're doing, but unfortunately, that's not the world we live in these days. So,
80%.
and you've got to, it's the same thing. We come back. You've got to cater to the bloody lowest common denominator. There are some people that probably really shouldn't be putting spanners to cars. Unfortunately, you know. So
Us included,
yeah, well,
according to old mate.
yeah. Oh look, you're not always wrong.
But I mean,
yeah.
80% of cars out on the road now are probably more dangerous than the modified ones, you know. But there's obviously a set of rules that say this is right and this is wrong, and that's just how it is.
Yeah.
Not much you can do about it.
No, so, but you just got to keep on keeping on. Just keep modifying anyway. It's getting hard, man. It's getting hard in this day and age to keep going along with that project, man. Parts are getting expensive. You know,
Or hard to find.
if you're the sort of cat that likes to use like quality tradespeople, it's hard to find them to, you know, availability and stuff like that. So
Yeah,
it's getting hard.
for sure. So on the chip, this isn't me that's on the chip, but another fella. His name's Mitchell. He's on Instagram, Gambin Builds. He got an email today from an event director. It's for Powercruise that's coming up in about 2 weeks. And he just got an email to say, I'll read it out. So, we've received your entry and additional photos for Powercruise. After review by our team, it's been decided that unfortunately your car does not meet the standards that are now required for an entrance car at Powercruise Sydney. Each car is reviewed on a case-by-case basis, both cosmetic and performance modifications, visual appearance, style, along with previous history at Powercruise. If it had an extreme driveline or a serious performance mod, then it would be up for consideration, but completely standard looking cars with minimal performance mods is not what Powercruise's events are about and are where we have to draw the line. So his sort of stance on it is he's got that email 2 weeks out from the event. He paid an early bird entry, so that's at the start of the year. He's organised his time off work, he's paid for a trailer, you know, like all this sort of stuff. Trying to do the right thing, take the car off the street, only to be turned away. Now, on the surface, how do you feel about that? We kind of touched on this before, you know. Like
I think if they're going to be like that and they're going to refuse your car, then they should have the payment process tied up into that. You shouldn't be able to take a bloke's money to then like offer to refund it later on. Like if that's the stance you want to take, have a team ready. So because I'm sure when I entered Motovation 15 years ago, it was the same sort of thing.
Yes,
You did your
yeah.
photos. I don't remember exactly, and because I didn't enter this year either, I don't know.
Well,
but
allow me to tell you how we entered your car.
all right, go,
So when you
do that.
So you go onto the so you go onto the website and you do fill out an entry thing. So it's like you got to fill out what kind of car it is, what condition the paint's in, you know, registration if it's got show plates, and then you've got to go down and like list, you know, what are the modifications that it's got, and it's got different sections. So you've got your engine and driveline section, you've got your interior section, exterior, wheels and suspension, etc., etc. And then you do attach photos as well because they want all the details. The photos don't necessarily tell all the story. You know, it looks like a factory car from the outside, but what is it underneath? You know, like so that is the process. You send it through, and then your application got approved. And I'm assuming.
And then you pay after that, or do you pay during it? Like you pay when you submit that.
You pay when you submit.
Yeah, okay.
Yeah.
But they didn't wait fucking like weeks to approve it or whatever. I
No,
guess.
so when we applied, we had our approval. I think it was about 48 hours later.
Yeah.
So I don't know what this particular process was, but obviously this guy's paid, you know.
And it sounds like they're stricter than what Motovation was anyway.
Yeah. So on the surface, I don't hate the idea. I think
I think it's great. Like, anything that's sort of exclusive or whatever, you can't hate it. But the route around that this fella's had to put up with, yeah, like it's pretty rough. But that's on their end. They should have had their birds in a row. They're
Yeah.
ducks in a row even. like don't fucking root a bloke around. If you've got some sort of process, then put it in motion. Don't wait until 2 weeks out when he's bought fuel and taken time off work, and he might not even live anywhere near there. Like us, man. Anytime we want to go somewhere, there's nothing where we are.
No.
Nothing's closer than
It's
an
a
hour and a
trek.
half. So it's an actual big deal to do any of that stuff. So I could imagine he'd be pretty pissed off.
Now add to it, so the car is a VY Club Sport. It's got a 403 stroker, turbo 400, like pretty decent.
Tuffy.
Yeah, bit of a tough. Obviously, it's not like 1,000 horsepower. It's not like a big turbo LS or a blown combo or whatever. But man, I would be pretty annoyed if I were him to roll up there and see something that maybe looked impressive in a photo. Say it's, I don't know, a later model Commodore, say a VE VF with a nice paint job on wheels, but literally a stock cam only sort of deal.
Well, what are these events for? I think sometimes they need to pick the people that are making these events. Are you doing the event for the people that are walking in the gate to come and watch, or are you doing it for the people that are paying all the money to enter?
Event,
you know what I mean? Because it's a couple $1,000s. If you're doing like a driving event where you're like Powercruise, it's a couple grand, man, to do it properly, easily.
Yeah.
So
by
like,
the time you buy a VIP,
I think-
and, you like your
oh yeah,
priority pit access. and
yeah.
this and
Our idea of a bare minimum, it's going to be a few $1,000s.
Yeah.
Just straight up.
absolutely.
So
And there was another fella as well that I saw, Josh Fincher. I've actually been in touch with him previously. When we did Rob's one tonner, he was doing a turbo setup. It was a 6-speed manual, blah, blah, blah. And he was talking about turbo sizes with me. Long story short, his car has also been denied. Turbo LS, 6-speed
for the same event,
for the same event.
something a bit weird going on here, I reckon. Maybe
Yeah.
they like over.
This is what I'm thinking. I think they've oversold. They've probably sold too many VIPs or whatever.
Yeah.
And now they're thinking, oh, we can't fit all these cars.
Yeah.
I'm hoping that
Either that or like maybe even the racetrack or whatever have changed the goalposts and gone, nah, you're not having this many, you can only have this many. Or their insurance has gone, nah, we're not covering you for this, you're only getting this. Like sounds like something behind the scenes has changed.
Yeah.
Or they've made a boo-boo somewhere and now they're sort of scurrying
Yeah.
and putting out the fires that they look the least appealing anyway.
Yeah.
Which
So
is, that's even worse, really, when you think about it, because that's just
I'm sure there's going to be more developments coming out in future. I don't think Gup would.
He couldn't give two fucks, I
He
can tell you
wouldn't
that.
care.
I don't even know the bloke, but I know him well enough to know he wouldn't give two fucks.
Hey, you've gone for a ride in his car.
I know, it's sick. I went for a drive in Elvis, and it was the fastest car I've been in so far.
Well, it's like 2,000 plus horse.
Yeah, I don't think it was making that much, and it wouldn't have been making that much when we were in it, but damn. It has like a 30-inch tall radial on it, and it goes like fuck. It feels like, it's retarded. We had four people in it, I think. I had two in the back, and I was sitting in the front. And a quick couple of pulls up the front straight at Barbagallo, and that's
A wild unit.
It's an experience for sure.
But I don't know. I'm sure there'll be more that'll come out in the future. Hopefully, it is a case of the goalposts have been moved from a managerial standpoint behind that's Powercruise, and unfortunately these guys miss out. But I mean,
It's always been a great event, though. It's a shame we haven't had it here for the last few years, and I mean, I don't know if it's ever coming back. Maybe it's never coming back.
well, I had a look on their website. It was a few weeks ago now to see if there was any dates released for Perth for this year.
Yeah.
And there's dates for everywhere else,
Yeah.
including America.
Yeah.
There's a couple in America, but there's nothing here. And same thing, that might be a track thing. But who knows? It's disappointing that we don't have Powercruise, because I think...
Well, what else have we got this year? Like, what else have we got this year? Because, it was got to like
There was a
Sunday
goal-
Arvo, and I'm like, all right, what's the next sort of event where I can try and aim to get my car properly, get the cooling system sorted and get a tune. And there's a good handful of issues I need to sort before it's properly ready to belt. But I'm like, oh, well, there's there's nothing really else. Nothing
there was
else.
a golden time where we had Motorvation and Gazanats and Powercruise, and I mean I loved all three events, but Powercruise for me was like the premier event. You know, that was the one that you wanted to go to. I think we've got West Coast Nats, but I mean same thing. That's a burnout focused event. It's not really sort of The cool thing for us was Powercruise was about street cars, cruising the track, and sort of roll racing and off street racing and. There was a burnout element to it, obviously, as well, power skids, and there was like a burnout competition, but it wasn't very centric around that.
I wonder if these racetracks are just sick of those style events over here, because we've only got the two tracks. We've got Collie, Motorplex, and Barbagallo, and they're probably both sick of just the aftermath, because when you think about it, there's some loose units that go there. Good characters, but just loose units, you know, that are, you know, when you're blowing sets and you're on rims on the racing surface and stuff, it's not great.
Shout out Newts.
Yeah. You knew where I was, I was like, yeah, so, you know, this might be why we're not getting these things, you know.
Maybe. Another on the chip thing, strangely enough, we spoke about this about 30 seconds before we hit record, and then we glossed straight past it in the intro. We made a couple of mistakes in our previous episode.
Yep.
We need to
go back through the minutes.
Forgive me, Father, for I've sinned.
Yeah, so I made the boo-boo. And I'll be the first to admit, I don't know much. I don't have a super broad knowledge of all different vehicles. Jeff's definitely got a much broader knowledge with exotics and all this. I just like the shit that I think I could own and modify, which is not much. Commodore stuff. Commodores and...
You can't even afford that right now.
Yeah, I'm struggling. But yeah, so I mentioned in the last podcast about how impressive a Centura, the Chrysler Centura that I thought, dummy me, I thought it had a slant 6 in it. It was just a Hemi 6-cylinder.
Not just a Hemi 6, it was a Hemi 6.
Yeah.
Yeah. It wasn't a slant, it was a 265, which is a straight up and down job.
Yeah. Still impressive though.
Still very impressive.
440 to the treadleys.
Yeah, man.
Naturally aspirated.
Mm-hmm. But the Mopar boys were
and rightfully so too. Like, rightfully so. Don't talk about shit if you don't know. So moving forward, anytime I want to bring something up, I'm definitely going to spend more than 10 seconds looking at a little clip on a Street Machine thing that I thought was cool. I'll make sure, I'll do my best anyway to make sure that, because you chop this thing up into a reel or whatever, and then, like, you know, sometimes thousands of people see this stuff and they just think, what a fucking muppet, this dude's dribbling shit. And that's all true.
Yeah.
So I'm going to try and not do that again.
Yeah. Shout out to Scotty from Street Machine and Carnage. He was one of the ones that pulled us up on it. He is a Mopar man for sure. And I also have to make my apologies. I did make mention in the same segment, actually, we're talking about the dyno horsepower hero sort of stuff. The VE wagon, I misspoke.
The Tourer wagon, the red one?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. I misspoke in saying that it was a banger job by All Star Garage. All Star Garage was not who did it. It was ASG Motorsports. ASG could be misconstrued as All Star Garage.
Yeah.
That's not how it happened. I was actually reading an article about All Star Garage that afternoon, and then, you know, it was a big day that day.
Brain
Obviously,
fart.
we were working on your car at the time as well. It was a long day, and we had a long night ahead of us as well. And I just muddled up my words. ASG did get in our comments and sort of, they were great about it. They didn't have a crack. They just said, hey guys, just letting you know that was us, not them. And I was just like, oh, sorry.
Yeah.
Big
Duly
sorry.
noted.
Yeah. So like you, I'm going to just double check these things next time.
Yeah, we'll start taking it a little tiny bit seriously and just at least do a tiny bit of research.
Well, isn't it weird that, you know, we sort of, even our videos and stuff, we sort of put it out there going, who's even going to see this?
Yeah.
But people are starting to see this.
Yeah, so there's no consequence when you're just talking with people. You can get pulled up straight away and you're, oh, yeah, that's what it is. But when it's filmed and then it's like in the past and then you turn it into a reel or whatever, it's like some people see this and, you know, they don't necessarily take it as gospel or whatever, but they, you know, some people would just be like, oh, yeah, that's what it is, when it's not. So once you've sort of put it in that medium, it really needs to be right. Somewhat, I reckon it does anyway, because otherwise we just look like fuckwits. Yeah. Which we are, but we don't want to be fuckwits.
But we're
telling
good ones.
lies.
We're good ones.
Yeah.
No, it's almost got to be a journalistic approach, and I don't like journalists, and I know you don't like journalists, but we've just got to fact check ourselves
Yeah.
a little bit from time to time.
Yeah.
Anyway, that got a couple of those punters on the chip, and we're
Rightfully
very sorry.
so. Yeah.
We're very sorry. We'll move on to the nextie.
Marketplace morons.
Marketplace morons.
Oh, what have you got in the bag for us this week?
I don't know if I've got a goodie.
Well, I've got something here.
Ripper.
It's not necessarily a marketplace moron, but it'll fit right in. I seen this one. I think it might have been nearly 2 weeks ago. It was on the Sloppy Mechanics public page.
I'm just having a quick scroll to see if I've got anything. I'm not sure if I do, but I know yours is.
So this one's a ripper. I'm just going to look at my phone here. We've got from a U-Pullet yard, which is a wrecking yard in the USA. I think it must be a big sort of franchise U-Pullet or whatever, wrecking yards.
Yeah.
And these blokes are selling used coolant. $4.11 for, I'm not sure what that
looks like a
container is.
gallon.
I'm going to say that's got to be like a gallon. $4.11 plus tax for this used coolant that some of it looks like the piss that you would have like after a big night on the bourbons or something. Like, it's not good.
It does look like swamp water.
I wouldn't throw it at my worst enemy, put it that way. And some of it looks like, not good, but how desperate do you need to be to buy used coolant that doesn't even look remotely green or red? It looks like swamp water, really. So
It is swamp water, for
I'm
sure.
thinking, what on earth? They've got to be taking the piss, maybe. I don't know. Maybe they're taking the piss. It was like an April Fool's thing or something.
Hey,
but
look, in the US, anything is possible.
these blokes have even gone to the trouble of doing a full-on, check that out, a full-on
It's a
proper
label.
label. Like that.
Yeah.
The label would have cost more than what the coolant was ever worth.
It's literally a...
They're having a crack though, aren't they? They are really getting after it. They are.
It is a proper you-pull-it label for this used coolant.
Yeah, unreal.
Yeah.
So I seen that and thought, get fucked.
That is pretty wild.
Yeah.
I do like their hustle. We've used that term a lot when it comes to marketplace morons, don't we?
Yeah, well, that's usually what it is, eh?
There was an old mate that was trying to rent out his front verge. Can't knock his hustle. Old Pamela from last episode.
Yeah. I wonder how she's going. Business could be thriving, eh?
Yeah. If anyone knows how's Pamela over in, where was it, Parramatta?
I don't know.
How she's doing, send her our regards.
Yeah. Hope business is doing well. But that's it. That's a slow segment for this one. We'll have to make sure we get some more. And if you guys have got any, maybe send them in. There could be some crackers out there, I'm sure.
Oh, absolutely, yeah. Well, like I say, in the last month, we haven't spent much time on our phones. We've been flat bicky.
Yeah.
So
I'm still feeling a bit flat, to be honest with you, but definitely caught up on a bit of sleep.
Yeah. Thank goodness, because we needed it.
Yeah. Yeah, the motivation wasn't a great sort of thing for the body to finish off that month, of just like working till midnight and then, doing 10 or 12 hour days, and then to go to Motivation and then stay up until I think it was like 1:32 the first night, and then I didn't go to bed till 5:30 the next morning, like on Sunday morning. It was thinking, Kurt, what are you doing, mate? Just sort your life out.
You're not 25 anymore, bro.
Yeah, I know,
You got to rein it in.
Dumb.
But yeah, if you do find a marketplace moron, you can send us a voicemail. Remember, torqhub.com.au. There's a button, bottom right-hand corner, and you can send us a voicemail at any time.
Ooh, good segue into. Is that what we're up to next?
That is the next segment. Do you want to get stuck in?
Yeah, go on, give it to it.
Hello?
Blow on. We've actually had a fair few this time.
Yeah, there's a
Which
lot
has
to
been
go
good.
through from what you were telling me.
Yeah. I went through a couple.
Which is cool because we've been hammering you guys, like, just send us something, I even thought about just getting one of our boys to, like, man.
Yeah, hey, come on, do me a solid.
Can you pretend that you actually listen to our podcast?
Hey, Mum. You know how I don't call you ever? Can you leave me a voicemail?
Yeah. Oh, yeah, so I don't know. What do you want to do? You want to whip out the first one? We'll have a listen?
Yeah, mate, we'll get stuck in.
All right.
Kurt, Jeff, Aaron here again. Super pumped, boys, that you got me on your podcast. Made my day. Loved it. Firstly, keep your podcast going on YouTube. Make life simple. Make it uncomplicated, one place for everything. Keep it on the YouTube. Appears to be a bit of a lack of input from some of the other viewers, so what I'm going to do is chuck you a couple of questions or scenarios, and I'd really love to hear your thoughts on them.
Yeah, so I think I made mention in the last podcast how I said the views were going down on YouTube, but they were going up on the podcast platforms, and maybe eventually we wouldn't upload the podcast to YouTube anymore if it wasn't worth it. And then you guys made that one probably the highest viewed podcast.
Yeah, okay. On YouTube?
On YouTube, yeah. So, yeah, obviously Aaron's a fan of keeping it on YouTube.
Yeah, and there was a few others as well.
Yeah.
I like watching some of them if you can.
Yeah.
Watching them on there, it's not bad.
Yeah. Look, we're pretty good looking roosters.
No.
Hang on, have I got the cricket sound? Let's see. Yes, I do.
I thought we weren't going to do any more lies.
Crickets. So Aaron he left us a couple other voicemails. It's obviously to try and stir up some conversation. He's hit us with a few questions.
Yeah.
Aaron, I hope you don't mind, mate. I've picked out 2 because we do have a couple other calls this time. So thanks heaps for, I guess, trying to stir up the conversation. And I might keep some in the old back pocket for Ron.
Yeah.
If we do have a quiet week. But I've picked out 2 and put them in sort of one here. I'll play that.
All right.
And then we've got a couple other calls we'll get onto.
All right, lads. Aaron here again. Couple of quick questions and scenarios for you. What I really want to know is what you would do in this situation, not really looking for that political woke rubbish response of, it's your car, boys. You just do what you want, whatever makes you happy. All right, so first question, you picked yourself up an 80s model Commodore or Falcon. It's in a pretty reasonable condition, but it needs some restoration and work on it to get it onto that solid Sunday afternoon driver. Do you A, wait till you get it right, or B, do you just get it running and get the car out on the road? Next question, let's say you picked yourself up a Grandpa Spec 304 VS sedan. You've got maybe 10K for some restoration or performance mods. Are you the type of guy that turns it back into the factory stock car, or would you turn it into a modified SS Tribute?
So, first part of the question is probably well timed. Do you get it right or do you get it going?
You don't get it right, you definitely get it going. Take my word for it.
You would love to think that you'd get it right first?
That was my approach, but then life gets in the way and getting it right just ain't that easy. So you're better off getting it going. You can always get it right.
Yeah.
As long as you don't do anything super dodgy at the start, always do your foundation work right, but just get it right and going. So get it going, and then you can work. You can always work on improving it later, and that's the only reason my car is even complete now. I want to change every single thing on it again. Honestly, everything on that car, I want to change again, but I couldn't be happy with it just being an actual car at this point.
Yeah, it's been too long, and I mean, you got the big kick in the do it, essentially. Just be like, right, let's do this, and there's a lot of things that you still would like to have been done before it went to Motovation, but in the end it was like, we're running out of time, running out of daylight, let's just get this thing done. And
I think we got more done on my car than what I thought we would.
Yeah,
honestly.
Yeah. And I think, like I say, you've probably changed your stance because getting it right was the number one priority. But now that you've just got it done, I think you're far happier than if it was still sitting in the shed waiting until Motovation next year. Yeah,
that's it. So like I keep saying, I've got a base now to get it how I want. Whereas when it's a part and it's not a thing, it's just a fucking half-assembled car or whatever, it just seems like the task is just... you're never going to get there.
Insurmountable.
Yeah. So, but now that it's together, and I mean, I've got some dramas with a few bits and pieces, but like, that's good. Now we've made it to the point where we know we've got a couple of dramas we can fix rather than like, all right, I overthink everything. You can see on my car, I've overdone some stuff like stupid ways, and then there's other shit that's not quite up to task, but get it going, not get it right is a motto that I've adapted to.
Yeah, and I'm kind of getting there with the VH as well. It's like the SLE project is obviously it's a whole sort of different beast, but I'm having to adjust my level of expectation or whatever, because it's blown well out of proportion to what it was meant to be originally anyway. And there's things like, sure, I would love to have the boot re-tinned, and I'd love to have the nice, you know, like the sort of 44-gallon drum style tubs. But where do you stop? You know, like
they call that the snowball effect.
Yeah. And it's
that's why you see, I think that's why you see a lot of these unfinished projects on Marketplace all the time, because like people just get to a point where they've just dropped that much money in and there's just no light at the end of the tunnel. It's like, this isn't actually that much fun anymore.
Yeah, but then the next bloke on Marketplace can see the potential and go, all the hard work's done there.
Yeah.
I can Stephen Bradbury this bad boy.
Yeah.
You know, come in on the final turn and just make it happen. But like I've even had grand plans of putting a PDM in the car, and now I'm reconsidering, like, maybe I just put a fuse panel in.
And that's all stuff that, because I'm and Jeff will tell you, and we might as well we'll say it out loud, like I'm that guy, like, Jeff, you don't fucking need to do this right now, just do this, and we'll just get an ignition box and we'll do this. It's still all good shit, it's just not the best shit. But you don't need the best shit, especially not with what you're doing. Like,
I can upgrade it later, so get it going. Then we'll get it right after.
And you'll realise that you didn't need, because I don't know, I think we all get hyped up in the marketing of new products and stuff like that. You see the new, latest and greatest and you think, fuck yeah, I need that. Like, guys, they do a great job of, you know, that's everyday life with everything, but cars.
And you
in
almost
particular.
talk yourself into a worse now that we do the YouTube thing, because you think, wow, if we get that new latest and greatest, that'll make great content.
It's a lesson that I've learned over just maybe since we've been doing this, the last couple of years with my car, when it was just nowhere near. And we've done things with the EFI and the harness that came with it. Jerome, shout out to our boy Jerome, that's helped so much, even on the last little slog there 2 weeks or 3 weeks ago. I couldn't have done it without you, bro. But, you know, we just chopped up what we had and we just used what we did, and that's what gets you moving forward.
Yeah, we'll make a whole new harness. But do you need it now?
Yeah, and we're already talking about doing a new one and stuff like that, but for now, it's not a big drama.
Yeah. And part 2, you got 10 grand, got a VS.
I'm never restoring anything VS back to factory. I'm not the factory sort of guy. It doesn't do anything for me. Any sort of car, I want my own little flavour on it. So if I had 10 grand, depending on what the body was like, I like things to look neat.
Well, I think he said, you know, it's in okay condition, but it needs a little bit of work. So
yeah, for me personally, if it was my car and I had 10 grand, depending on what bits I had around, the first thing you got to do is you got to lower it and get like some nice wheels on it so it doesn't look like shit. And then I don't know, you've really just got to, I'd be trying to do some sort of performance stuff, probably just end up just putting some gears and a converter in it and something like that.
Yeah, I think it's almost, or the blue ute that's sitting off camera that we've got to get onto sooner rather than later is a prime subject for this question. It's like, hopefully we won't spend 10 grand on it. We don't have 10 grand to spend on it. But that's exactly, you know, like, sure, we could spend the little money that we do have pulling some dents and spraying some panels or whatever, or we can spend some money putting a turbo on it and putting some springs in it and having some fun with it. And I think it's probably easy for us to say that about that car, because we do have the other cars that look reasonably nice.
That's the tricky thing. When you've already got a car, see, I've had nothing for ages. I've bought other cars along the way that have just distracted me. And then it's annoying though, because I didn't want to spend the money that they needed to be super cool what I wanted either, because I've always had my project that's never going anywhere. Like that's the sort of the weird thing with my car is it's irreplaceable, and its sentimental value is just, you know, you can't measure it. So it's never going anywhere, but I was just trying to buy these other cars to fill the gap. But so if you've already got something that's cool and you can just get in and drive, then it's kind of easier to have a sort of more long-term, sort of like what you're doing, you know what I mean?
Yeah, I don't think and I mean, we'll touch on the resto in a later podcast and episode.
When we get it back, I reckon. I reckon
think so,
once it's back.
Once it's back as a complete
because that way you
Body.
can show on the video, you'll be able to show like what it is. This is
Yeah.
when you do a resto and you get it back from a shop, like this
This is what
is
it is.
basically what it is, and this is the journey, and this is sort of what it's going to cost, and this is what to expect, and
Yeah. And
so
there's,
on and so
there's all
forth.
sorts of caveats in that conversation as well. But like I say, we'll touch on that when we get the car back. But having sort of got to where I'm at now, I don't think I'll ever do a resto again. I'd buy a shell. And that's not because it's been a bad process.
No,
Like, Simon's
it's been
great.
painless, really.
Absolutely. But just having done it now, I'm like, do you know what? I'd either buy a roller that's done or I'd buy a car that's close enough and then
Yeah.
I'd spend the money on making it go stupid
Yeah,
fast.
that's always been my sort of idea as well, really, is you don't want to be... But that's just not really our thing doing the paint and panel. You know, we sort of just want to put driveline in things and put, like the kind of the easy stuff,
Yeah.
really.
Yeah, I was never meant to do a full resto on this car in the first place. You know, it was always going to be, let's just fix the rust that it's got and get it close enough so that we can get it regoed and get it going. And it's evolved over time. And I don't regret doing what I'm doing now. It's going to be so sick. I
Yeah.
can't wait to get it back. And there's so many really, really cool things about that car that never would have happened if we didn't do this. But yeah, I wouldn't do it again.
Yeah. So yeah, that's what I'd do. I'd lower it and put some wheels on it and do some gears and a sweet little converter and do a cam and maybe, you know, if you could, I mean,
I
it
was
depends
gonna
how
say,
handy
10
you are.
grand's gone now.
Yeah, I was going to say, it depends how handy you are, eh, and what
Yeah.
marketplace is looking like, how many morons are on there selling stuff cheap.
Yeah. But yeah, I mean, 284 cam, a shelf converter, some 3.7 gears, and some springs and some wheels. That'd be about 10 grand.
Yeah.
DIY in it. You'd have to do it all yourself. But yeah. Thanks, Aaron.
So yeah, that's what I was about to say. Thanks for shooting those in. That was good. He's sort of kicking off. Hopefully we get a steady flow from here on out. But
Yeah. Well, like I say, he does have plenty of other questions that I'm keeping in the back pocket. Thanks for that one though, mate, and we'll get on to the next.
sweet, I better listen.
G'day guys, my name's Damien, I'm from Tatura in Victoria. I like watching your podcasts on the video, just like seeing you guys sitting in your shed. Just got a question, how many black t-shirts have you guys got each? And, you know, how do you go about the decision making about what t-shirt to wear to what event? Good on you guys, cheers.
Another one that likes
I
the
couldn't
YouTube
yeah.
potty.
Yeah, he's all about it. I honestly can't even answer that question. You should have sent that through and I would have counted them all.
Yeah,
There'd
I
be
don't know
heaps.
how many I've got, but it's
They're
like
pretty much all of mine
I was
are
going to say,
black.
I think I've got maybe 3 shirts that aren't black.
I'd have a couple more than that, but I don't really wear them very often.
Yeah,
I like white shirts, but I got like kids, so like when you've got kids that are, I don't know what age they stop fucking up your white shirts, but I haven't figured it out yet, man.
Probably 21.
Yeah, they wreck your stuff, man.
Yeah.
So
Once they have like,
I do want to do a white shirt, eh? Like that's one of the next.
Yeah,
We
we
need
said
a shirt
from,
idea, eh?
Yeah, we said from the start that we'd like to mix it up and do some colours and do like some greys or some khakis or whatever. We always said that we weren't just gonna do black. Obviously, black is the easy go-to because it goes with everything, and some people like some colours and don't like others. But there's some people that don't like black shirts. We've got mates of ours. They've got they've got socks and hats or whatever, but they don't have a shirt because they just don't wear black shirts, and that's fair enough. But yeah, we do need to get another shirt idea. And as for deciding as to what shirt we're going to wear, we're both wearing a Reed Speed shirt tonight,
That wasn't planned, by the way.
Wasn't planned.
I just wanted to represent,
Absolutely, especially with old mate coming on board. Wanted to represent. I was wearing this most of the day anyway, but Motivation and Red Centre Nats, I made the conscious decision that the entire time that I was there, I was going to wear a Torq Hub shirt, whether it was the OG or the new one. I guess while we're in this infancy stage, we want to have our brand out there as much as humanly possible.
Yeah.
So if we're going to like a car meet or a car event, basically you're going to see me wearing Torq Hub until such time as the brand is strong enough that other people are flying the flag for us. We've got to do it ourselves.
Yeah, well, we wear that, and then you just, obviously, we have no qualms, and we like wearing the stuff that the guys that get behind us as well.
That's right. Yeah. So we got like,
if Penrite send us some shirts, mate, I'll happily wear one of those as well. I guess.
well, I think that's part of our ambassadorship is that we've actually got to put a sticker on a car and this and that.
Yeah.
I'd have to go through and read it again, but
Yeah.
I think there's some minimum requirements.
Oh yeah, for sure.
But we got shirts from AFS Industries. We
Yeah.
got a Plasma Man shirt. What else
Pretty
we
much
got?
anything
Oh,
that's got like an Aussie car brand.
Kenda
Or,
shirts.
Yeah.
I got
that's pretty much all I try to wear now. I used to buy like heaps of all your surf brands, Fox and Unit and all the surf Billabong and all that sort of stuff.
Yeah.
I've still got a little bit of that, but these days I try and promote the stuff that I like to get behind. Whether they're giving us any money or not, I'll quite happily wear the other stuff as well. So,
Yeah.
but once I feel obligated now. We've got to rep it.
Yeah.
Harder than ever. So we'll get some more shirts and some hats and stuff from Daniel and keep going on with that for sure.
For sure. Yeah, I was the same. I used to wear like surf brands and stuff. In high school, I used to do a bit of bodyboarding and surfing and whatever, and that was what I was comfortable wearing. But now, as I'm I don't surf or anything anymore. I haven't done in years, and I'm always doing the car stuff. It doesn't really make sense to be spending, and that stuff is top dollar. So there's no point spending top dollar on that fashion item when it means nothing to you. I'd much rather spend the money on this stuff, whether it be, and like I wear Winging It Motorsports, Picnic Media.
Yeah, that's what I was about to say. The other people as well. Yeah,
I like to represent some other channels that I get behind as well, and I've got a Skid Factory hat and whatever, and I try and. Driving with Dixon, that's another one. I try and have a bit of a rotation, I guess, and try and give all of them some time in the sun. But yeah, as for choosing what I'm wearing to an event at the moment, it's guaranteed to be Torq Hub. For sure. Thanks, Damo, for the question, mate.
Yeah, cheers, man.
Much appreciated. Next one.
Hey, fellas, love your podcast. Some great content there. Just thought I'd get you guys maybe to touch base on McFry and his Monaro that he runs in the Burnout comps and how he's got a bit of heat over the years for his Burnout style. And he did some posts just after Christmas in regards to criterias for Burnouts, a consistency of smoke and his more loose style. Just wondering what your thoughts were on it all as far as, what Burnout should look like, slow and steady or a bit loose or both. And also, if you guys have got any thoughts on Cletus McFarlane's YouTube channel. I really enjoy the content and just wondered if you guys wanted to touch base on what your thoughts were with that. Cheers. Thanks, guys. Appreciate being able to give you some comments.
Thank you for taking the time to leave us a voicemail, mate.
Yeah, a couple of good topics there.
Yeah, so first of all, shout out to McFry, Nelson Granger. He and his lovely partner today actually welcomed a new addition to the family.
Oh, really? Geez, you're all over this stuff, aren't you? You got your finger on the pulse. He's all over it. Well,
absolutely.
Congrats, guys.
Yeah, congratulations, guys, and I hope all is going well.
Oh, well, he won't be able to knock a complete build out in the next month then, I guess. He'll have to leave that till next month.
Oh, no, it depends.
Man, he knocks some shit out, eh? He gets shit done. He's a bit of an inspiration, that fella.
Yeah.
He just gets it done.
I wonder if Billet Buttons pays him some paternity leave, so he just spends the paternity leave in the shed doing car stuff like the rest of us would.
Yeah. We'll see how far he wants to push his luck, I guess.
Yeah. As for the question, though, Burnout style, we aren't real big Burnout guys.
That's what I was going to touch on. We're not huge Burnout guys, but I will say is 100% prefer the more style, like how Nelson does it with the big tip-ins and that sort of thing. I thought that's what everyone liked. Personally, I thought that was sort of the trend, and it's sort of seeing the run-ins on the pads get back further and further. That's where the excitement is for me. I think one thing you've got to realise in any industry or any sort of group, you get like we call it in the blue collar industry over what I work in, you call it the purple circle and stuff like that, and you're always going to get that wherever you go. So if you're not in that, and I'm not saying there is or isn't, but just from the outside looking in, if you think that you're being judged unfairly, I'm sure there could be some sort of mentality going on, it's a judged event at the end of the day. So what,
That's the
is there really a right or wrong? It sort of sounds like a bit of a diplomatic answer there, which I hate, but but essentially, different events are going to like different styles and different judges are going to award points differently. But me personally, I think that, the faster, like more lynchy, you know, Mick Hammond's the same. McFry, all that is, I'll watch that stuff. It's the real static. Like, where's the fun in watching a burnout? Personally, something that makes like shitloads of smoke, but you can't see it. So it's in there for a minute and a half or whatever it is, 2 minutes.
And you can't see it.
And you can't see it. Yeah, it sounds sick. And I'm sure the car's sick, but like, fuck, man, I'm just sitting there choking on smoke and just looking at a big smoke cloud. Like, I would much rather see someone whipping around and, you know, they're coming out of the smoke. There's some real driver skill in that as well. And
so I think that's sort of where the judging thing, so they had a lot of categories for, I think it was instant smoke, volume smoke, and constant smoke were like 3 categories that you were marked on, and that was like the majority of your points essentially. And like you're saying, you can get someone that gets on the revs hard, gets instant smoke, and then they're moving. They're using the whole pad, right? But they're moving reasonably slowly, and they're keeping that constant, consistent smoke. They're staying within the cloud, you know, for the most part. Whereas you get someone like Nelson or Mick Hammond or Lynchy, and they run it in hard, you know, double whips on the tip in. That's exciting to me. That's when
you know what I just had this.
Here's the thing: when you're sitting there, say there's, you know, like 30 cars in a lineup, right, and you're 15 burnouts in, and they're all starting to look the same, and then you see Nelson whip that bad boy hard into the pad. You can't tell me that's not what's reinvigorating you for the rest of the heat. Yeah, you know, that to me is what it's all about. And
I reckon the crowd. I reckon if you asked all the crowd, I don't know. I'm guessing it'd have to be 70, 80, 90% would prefer to watch something like that. Yeah, it's almost like I just had a brain wave just then. Imagine if these guys brought out an app and everyone in the crowd, if you're in that sort of that geo, you have to be in that geolocation. That geofence, there you go. So you're there, you just clock into the app and you're the judge. You get to say what you do like and don't like. Don't tell me you wouldn't be seeing people send it like as hard as ever, as opposed to having like just the I don't know who the judges are. I'm not in that scene whatsoever. No. I don't know the click. I don't know nothing. But, you know, I think that'd be pretty sweet.
That'd be revolutionary. Could you imagine that? Like being totally crowd, you know, it's like Australian Idol. That's obviously the judges for that style of show, they sort of weed out to the finalists. But then once the finalists are there, it's all crowd judged. You know, like ring in and vote for whoever. Imagine if Summernats or Burnout Masters Series turned into that. That'd be exciting. And like you say, that would probably turn the results on its head, I reckon. Obviously, there's a reason as to why they want to judge a certain criteria the way that they do. That's obviously the type of burnout that they want to promote under their series.
So maybe they could give you like an option, like you said, like you give you like a top 5 or a top 10, and then you get to pick which one goes where or whatever.
You can't tell me though that when it comes to crowd reaction on the score, because the crowd reaction is you know, part of your scoring, that they don't.
And you could even have like a wild card thing where they've picked the top 5 that they think, but then there's like an option where there's one more spot, or top 4 say, and then the crowd gets to pick who they think should be in that spot. So if someone, maybe the judging doesn't favour a certain driver, but the crowd loves it, they can get, you know, all of a sudden Nelson's in the race and he's there, and then he can be winning. Yeah. Because that's essentially, that's who should really be picking the winner, is the crowd that are paying the money to go there and see it. Really, isn't it?
Yeah. Well, I mean, Burnout champion, I don't think Lynchy's ever won. You know, he's like, for people that are into the burnout scene, he's like the legend Lynchy, you know, like he just drives the wheels off that Corolla like nothing else. And I don't think he's ever won at Summernats.
Yeah, okay.
And it's just like, it sort of beggars belief. I think, you know, Jake Myers obviously does a great skid, and he's got the bloodline. His father is a living legend and a Hall of Famer for all that sort of stuff. But, I don't know. I think to answer the question directly, what do we prefer? we can say it together.
Yeah.
We prefer.
Absolutely. And I reckon most would. Like, I reckon if you could somehow put up a poll, most would.
Yeah.
And like the same thing, like if you, because like he was fairly fed up with these particular events or whatever. So you just don't support the ones that don't support you, I guess. Like in a way,
And
I
I think
don't know.
now I think the car, the way that it's set up, and for what he does with it, and his driving style, I think it does suit the Powercruise style event more, where he can belt it around.
The bloke
corner.
can drive.
Oh, dude.
Jesus.
Yeah.
You know, this isn't like a friggin' S chassis friggin' Nissan, man. Like, this thing is an old people mover.
Yeah.
And he's making it do things that it never, ever should be doing. So that's entertainment in itself right there.
Yeah, put engine braking back in the gearbox so that he can control it, get on and off the throttle around the corner. This is like a 70s ex-taxi shit box, and he's like come around the corner hard, and then he'll just loop a couple of nuts and then pull straight out of it and belt the tyres down the straight. It's amazing to watch.
Yeah, he's a showman for sure.
Absolutely.
What was the other? Was there a second
Cletus
part of that?
McFarlane. What are your thoughts on Cletus? That bloke is living the dream.
Yeah, he's pretty much set the standard, really.
He is the gold standard, yeah. He probably doesn't have the most amount of subscribers or views out there, but man.
Oh, he couldn't be far off though, surely, like for how long he's been doing it.
Yeah, and he's a good businessman. You know,
he's
like
just a good fella as well. I think it comes across pretty evidently that he's a good guy. Like he looks after all his guys, and he's definitely managed to get his channel to a point now where each one can be their own character, and you know everyone's got their own little bit now, and you know, like everyone's got their own shirt, so they're all getting their money. Because I'd imagine it'd be really hard, because I'm sure he's making like a good amount of money. I know he spends a hell of a lot of money making this content, but you know, he's making a lot of money as well, and rightfully so.
Yeah.
If you're like working for, if he's employed you, like you're James or you know whoever, Ty, you're seeing this dude make like millions of dollars a year, and if you were just on like a standard wage only, even though that's all you should be getting, it'd still be a bit rough. So like he's given you a bit of an opportunity to be your own star on his show. You know, you get to sell. He's put the platform there for you to have your own shirt, and I don't know exactly the split or whatever, but I'm sure they get a lot of it or most of it or all of it or whatever. That's cool, man. Like he doesn't have to do that. And we follow other people on YouTube that you can just see, man, he just chews, you know, people just chew you up and spit and move on to the next guy that you can use up. So he's not that guy.
No.
And I think that's why he's doing so well. He's a good fella.
Yeah, and the thing that I like sort of from the business side of thing is that he's looking after the families as well. So like not only has he got James there working as his like lead mechanic, but then he's got his missus in the merch room packing orders. Yeah. And, you know, like so he's really sort of supporting the whole. He's keeping it within the family.
Well, yeah, he's created his own sort of family in a way, which is the way to do it. For
it's
sure.
An ecosystem that he's created, and yeah, hats off to him, man. He's doing great things. He's a good role model for the sport as well. You know, he likes to play up and do some silly things or whatever from time to time, but he doesn't take it too far on camera.
He's pretty
at least.
sedate, I think he's all right.
And you know, builds some sick cars.
Yeah,
and he's just like he gets the vision that we all sort of have in our head, but he gets out there and gets
it's really taken off in the last couple of years. Hey, like I've been watching him. I don't watch all his stuff. I don't watch all of anyone's stuff. It just depends what I'm doing, where I'm at, but. You know, I could go a month without watching anything, but then when like this Fox body stuff that he's doing now, I was just about to say,
can we talk about the Fox body?
Yeah, the Fox body that he's just put that Godzilla motor in, and I didn't even watch the build, like the episode before where they've put the turbos off friggin' Leroy's old setup. I didn't watch any of that, but I just watched when they did the first pass on this thing. It's got the Bruno drive with the bloody Lenko 5-speed in it, so it's got all these levers that you're yanking on, and it does like an 825 off the trailer. First full pass 825 on a bone stock Godzilla with, what was it, a camshaft and lifters?
It's not a bone stock, yeah.
Camshaft.
It's a stock bottom
end.
Yeah. So
with a cam and lifters. Or I don't even know if they did lifters in the end.
Yeah, I think they did put lifters in. I think they ended up being the same as like an LS7.
Yeah, whatever.
But yeah, whatever.
It's a stock bottom end. The shit that's got to take all the power, is stock. Didn't even gap the rings. And it went 8. Although it broke down the next day. They think they ate a piston, so it was probably...
Yeah. I think I briefly sort of tapping through the video today when I had half a chance. I think their theory is maybe it stretched a rod bolt during the 825 pass, and now driving on the streets just made it exacerbated.
Look, they've just... Fuck, man, how much power do you need to make to run... I don't know. I'm not even going to pretend like I know, but it's a lot. Like, I think they ran like 15, 16 PSI.
Yeah.
With what are those turbos, man? They got to be like
76s or something.
No, are they that big? I thought they were the old Lero ones that were maybe like 67s or.
You might be right.
Whatever, it doesn't matter. Even if it's got like a pair of 66s on it, man, that's enough to peel your muffin cap clean off. Back. Yeah, so they probably went a little hard on it.
Yeah,
but they did have boost creep issues. So like I think they were aiming for like 12 psi and they ended up getting like 16 or something. So
yeah. I think James took it over the weighbridge at Bradenton and it weighed, with him in it, like literally coming down the return road, drove on to the thing. It was 3,036 pound or something. So it's not a heavy. I mean, it's not a light car, but it's not a heavy car.
Yeah, that's not as light as what those things can get. They are pretty light.
I was going to say they haven't taken any weight out of it either. You know, like, apart from removing the interior. I mean, they could cut a lot more out.
Oh yeah, and they will too. That thing will morph in the next 6 months. It'll be like a rod and piston, friggin' cylinder head, like you name it. The thing will be ripping. The thing will be ripping friggin'
mid-sevens.
Yeah, I was going to say mid-sevens before you know it.
Yeah,
before you know it. Like
pulling them lightning rods.
Yeah,
boom, boom,
yeah.
Boom.
Yeah, I do love watching them build the stuff they do, and Ty's awesome to watch.
Yeah,
he's very clever. Good fab.
Yeah,
good fab guy. George is a character.
Yeah.
He's they all are. Everyone there is there for a reason, eh?
Absolutely, yeah.
They all bring their own. Bring their own thing to the channel. So yeah, no, that's probably one of my favourite channels to watch, and probably the most exciting video I've ever watched on YouTube in my life was the one where he was racing that stadium truck, and he was leading that race that he shouldn't have even been leading, and he spun out on like the last jump before the finish line. I was turned up. That was very exciting. So yeah, no. Love his stuff. It's cool.
And the opportunities he's been getting handed now is just wild.
Yeah. He's gone hard. He's gone hard for sure.
Imagine if one day... No,
I don't say that.
Next call.
Yeah.
Hey lads, Ben Prowse here. First time caller, long time listener. Look, just want to see your thoughts on sheds. You know, if you had a blank slate, new shed to deck out, what would you do? Would you coat the floor, make oil spills easy to clean up? What kind of hoist would you use? What kind of brand, size? Where would you put it? Would you insulate, aircon? You know, any little tips and tricks would be great. Thanks, boys. Cheers.
Shed setup. So, I mean, in a perfect world, we'd have a 20 by 30 with a 5 metre wall height and a 15 by 15 mezzanine that was fully sealed so that we could have like a podcast studio, and then underneath there'd be like a sealed fabrication room and then an engine building room, and there'd be like a wash down station. And
we've definitely outgrown our our sheds each. I think I feel like I have anyway. I want to do other things. Maybe you haven't outgrown it for what you're doing, but for what I'm doing as you and I as a collective, I wish I had another lift and a little bit more room, but I just don't have it right now. But I think the first rule is you can never build your shed too big. I've never met anyone that's built a shed too big yet.
No.
So if any advice I would give to someone that's looking at building a shed is, if you're tossing up between two sizes, definitely pick the bigger one. 100%, you won't regret it. You just won't.
If you're planning to build your shed and your Shire allows a certain maximum size and you can go to the maximum, do that. Or if your missus, obviously has some requirements on what they want in the backyard or whatever, and they're telling you that this is what's got to be, just make it as big as humanly possible. Even if it's only going to cost, say if it's going to cost you an extra $2 or $3 grand and you can't really afford it or justify it, trust me, it's going to be a hell of a lot cheaper to do it now in the first instance than to try and extend it later.
Yeah, 100%. I'm looking at extending mine. Well, I'm starting to flirt with the idea anyway, and I'm not sure if I can be bothered or if it's worth it, but
Yeah.
Yeah, so first rule, go as big as you can. And then I think covering a couple of those other points, definitely do the floor.
Yep, I wish I did.
Yeah, I wish because I built my whole shed, I built with me and my mates from scratch. I built all the steelwork myself. We did the concrete. We did everything. So once you've got your shed and you moved in, you don't want to pull all the shit back out to put an epoxy floor in it, man. Like, you might as well, if you've got the money and you want to do it, just leave it empty and do it straight away.
Absolutely.
So then once you've shifted all your shit in, that's it. You don't need to do it again.
I had plans to do this floor before I'd sort of moved everything in, but then by the time the house had settled and I moved into the house, I actually had all of my stuff in a commercial shed because my previous house didn't have a shed. I didn't have a big backyard big enough, so I was leasing a commercial shed, which is where I had my hoist and stuff. But by the time I got into this house, the lease was running out on that shed, so I didn't really have time, which sucked because, like you say, now I don't want to move everything out to do the floor.
It's a big job.
Yeah.
Because I've never done it, but it's not a day. It's not a 1 day job.
No.
So we're going to put all this crap.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? It's
Yeah.
just it's impossible almost.
Yeah. So 100% do coat
do the floor. And the other thing you want to do,
PowerPoints.
Oh yeah, go
Put
crazy
in
on PowerPoints.
Way more than you need.
Yeah. And I went crazy with mine, but I left there's one corner of my shed where all the door is and stuff where I didn't put any, and that's a bit of a pain in the ass. But in a totality, I've got heaps of them, so you might as well just get a heap while you're doing it. And the other, pretty much the number one rule, I would say, is insulate your roof at a minimum when you're building the shed, because they will lay the insulation over the roof and then screw the tin to it. You do not want to have to either take the tin off to do it like that or try and fix it underneath like a ceiling.
Yeah.
Two horrible ways to go about it. Get your insulation on your roof at a bare minimum. You don't necessarily, you can do the walls whenever, but do the roof as a minimum. That was a golden rule that I was taught, and I went with it.
Yeah.
That's the most important. If you had to pick between doing your floor or doing the insulation, you 100% do the insulation in the roof, because you do not want to do that again.
No, and that's exactly right. So I had to redo this roof. This roof was not the roof that was on the shed when I bought the house. Same thing, I've moved everything in here, but I couldn't put my hoist up because the roof was too shallow. The pitch.
The pitch was low.
Yeah, the pitch was low. So I had the roof taken off this shed, and I had all these trusses remade, and I should have put the insulation on the roof then, but I'd literally just bought the house and paid the stamp duty and this and that. And that was an expense that I just didn't want in the first place. And it was going to be an extra, I think it was $2,500 or $3,000, which I literally just did not have. But I really wish I had have just, got a credit card or refinanced a loan.
Or even just waited to do the roof for a tiny bit longer, maybe, in hindsight.
And done the insulation on the roof. Like you say, you can do the walls at any time. You can just get some of those roofing bats and put that in there and, screw some gyprock or wood or whatever and insulate the walls at any time. That's easy. But the roof is a pain, and I wish I had done it. My other golden rule, you've covered a couple of really good points, but my thing is get everything you can off the floor. Make sure that you've got good pallet racks, or if you're building benches and stuff, maybe put them on wheels. Make things so that you can move it easily, because there's nothing worse than having a giant boulder of something in the middle of your shed that you can't move or work around. I've got a bunch of engines here. Oop, bump the microphone. Got a bunch of engines here, but they are all on wheelie stands and stuff, and I can move them reasonably easily. I wish I'd put some casters under that bench. Not that I'd ever feel like I would have to move it, but it would be handy at times to be able to move the bench. Same with your toolboxes. I got a roll cab, make sure that stuff can be moved around easily. As for hoist, I think if you're only going to have one, if you can only have one hoist, definitely pick a two-poster
with a clear floor, yeah.
Yeah. Clear floor.
And get something in the 4 or 4.5 ton range, because you never know when you might just have to lift up your full drive or something like that. Some of these cars are heavier than what you think.
Yeah.
I'm trying to think of the brand that Liam's got, the light blue brand, and Corey's got a couple as well.
Is it Auto Lift?
I think it is Auto Lift. That's what I was thinking. That's a good brand.
It says HAP Auto lift. I think the Joel's Garage Gear stuff. Like, there's a couple of stuff that a lot of them are overseas manufacturers. Or
they all are, unless you've got like a Molnar or something like that. I was going to say,
you don't need to spend 20 grand on a Molnar.
Oh, you see the price of like a kitted out Molnar, you'll realise, not for my back shed.
No, you're not a commercial workshop that's going up, down, up, down, up, down 20 times a day. You can afford to have it cheap. I bought mine second hand. It's a Chinese hoist from an Australian distributor. I bought it second hand from a workshop that was closing down for like $1,600, and it's got some quirks. It's got some minor sort of things you got to work around.
We can work around them. Yeah.
For the time that we use it, it's perfect.
Yeah.
Don't feel like you have to go and buy a bend pack or buy a Molnar or something, because unless you are using it for a commercial sense, then it's not worth it.
No.
I think a 4-poster, you can get the 4-poster with the center jacks, which sort of gives you the best of both worlds, but they use up so much.
Our boy Liam's got both. He's got a 2-post and a 4-post. The way his shed's set up, he's got a massive opening, so he can sort of swindle that with the room and stuff. So he stacks cars, like he's got so many cars and stuff like that. He's got no time to work on the ute. But he's got the best of both there, and it depends what you want to do. If you just want to store cars, then maybe a 2-post really. I mean, I store my car on mine nearly all the time, so you can do it, but the clear floor is definitely good if you ever plan on ripping boxes out and stuff like that. Like, it's been good for us doing that. I couldn't imagine trying to wrestle, with all the cables going under and stuff like that. And
I've got mates that have got the base plate style, and one of them actually ended up cutting their concrete and sinking the hoist down a bit so that they could, it was like a clear floor without being a clear floor, I guess, in that sense. And that way you don't have the crossbar at the top.
Yeah.
So if you've got a high 4-wheel drive with a rooftop tent or something on it, then you don't have to worry about that. But for me, I think the engineering to get that right, I think I'd rather just have
that's a lot
floor.
of rooting around, eh?
Yeah, clear floor 2-post is probably the most versatile.
Yeah, and you think you really only need like 100 mil thick, like good grade concrete with some Rio in it, and you're laughing.
Yeah, that's right. And if you do punch through, obviously you can't use a chem set, but you could use a Dynabolt.
Yeah, I punched through. I built mine specifically to have a lift in it. I put massive footings that were like 500 mil deep, just because that's just what we did. And I still missed on a couple of holes.
Still put it in the shallow bit.
Yeah, but that's all right. So
same thing. I had to modify this. So this I drilled through, and there was about 80 mil sort of in a few spots where I thought the hoist was going to be. So I ended up cutting the concrete out, digging 350 or 400 mil down, and putting in a Rio cage and stuff like that. And, it would have been so much nicer to build this shed from the start and have it the way I want it. But obviously I bought the house with the shed and I had to modify it to suit.
Yeah.
One day we'll get them dream sheds.
Yeah, so you definitely want to go as wide as you can as well. If you got roller doors, see, I put a sliding door on mine because mine's only 6 meters. So if I had a roller door on, it would have got in the way of when I was lifting cars.
Yeah.
So I went with a sliding door, which is not as good. It's definitely not as good, I don't think, anyway. Not the way mine's set up. Not as good as a roller door.
If you can, probably go deeper than 6 meters. I'd probably go 7 at a minimum.
Yeah.
Because then that way you might see sometimes on Kurt's shed and mine as well, but you're kind of tight at the front and the back of the car. And
it's not bad. It really isn't that bad. But another meter is never going to hurt.
Nah, it'd be a lot nicer to work around, because obviously if you're working in the engine bay, that's sort of
And I could have done that. Like I could have done that, but back when I built the shed, that was a long time ago.
That's
so
right.
I didn't even really know what I wanted. So
I was going to say, it's one of those things, until you get in there and work in one, you don't really know what it is that you need. Now you know.
Yeah. And when I build my next place, it's going to be heaps better.
And probably put some whirlybirds in.
Yeah, that's what I've got to do. I haven't got a single window or whirlybird or anything. I've got one door and that's it.
I'm lucky. I've got the one roller door at that end, one at this end, and I've also got a window over there which never gets used, but I can open those and get some air through. You don't have that luxury.
No.
But I still would like a couple of whirlybirds, or one of them solar panelled whirlybirds. That'd be handy.
Yeah.
Sweet.
Jeez. That was a long segment, wasn't it?
It was. It was good, though.
Yeah.
Thanks heaps for getting in with your voicemails.
Yeah.
Do continue to send them in. If we get to a point where we do get a few, we'll spread them out over a couple of episodes, or, you know, we might have to pick a top 5, or hell, we could even just create a whole new podcast just for people that call in if that becomes a thing. But
Yeah.
yeah. Hopefully you guys enjoyed it. This is, I don't know, felt like it was a pretty long one.
Yeah, and we're still just winging the shit out of it. Not really preparing, but that's kind of how it needs to be, really.
Yeah. I've got...
This is just to complement the YouTube video stuff, really, isn't it? Like,
yeah. And I've got one video that's mostly filmed. I don't know how I'm going to turn it into an episode yet. I went and filmed a testing session at the Perth Motorplex. Thanks to the Black Magic Race Cars guys for inviting me and hosting me ever so graciously.
I couldn't make it, unfortunately.
Nah.
A bit of a bummer, but I don't know. Hopefully we get to do it again one day, maybe. And
yeah, I don't know what the footage is going to be like, but there were some wild cars, and I'll see if I can stitch that into an episode at some point. And I'm going to have to do a VH update soon because we're starting to make some moves there towards getting it ready for paint. So that'll be one of those. And then
we're going to be getting pretty close to getting a fresh project on the go. I think hopefully, I don't know whether it'll be maybe we just start doing a little bit on the Blue Mule there, or
this other blue.
I've got so much stuff I've got to start doing. I've been put so much on the back burner with this car, and it still needs more as well, but I've just got to let it just cool for a minute and get some of this other stuff happening because there's some other cool projects coming.
Yeah. Thanks heaps for listening, guys. Torqhub.com.au so you can send us a voicemail or buy yourself some merch. Until the next one.
See ya.
Bye.